Okay, so this is one of the stories I wasn't originally going to revisit. We talked about it end of last year, and I thought, well, that's enough. There's no requirement to carry on and talk about it. Got a comment or two on the previous video on it, and it's like, well, conveniently, there was a follow-up article which came out, well, quite literally 2 days ago, as continuation of the court case. So, for those who missed the first article, what happened was there is an erotica author from Sydney who had written a book that has yet to be published that incorporated age play. And they were consenting adults, but were age playing people of a much younger age bracket. And the question was then raised when she sent the book out to proofreaders. One of them then reported it to police, and then she's subsequently been investigated, taken to court, and this is where we are. And the question that is, I guess, at the core of it is, where does the societal line on decency fall? She's clearly written, well, we've yet to actually see the manuscript, but based on the reporting, she's written something where it's consenting adults, but they're engaged in a theoretical play which would otherwise be considered abhorrent. And the question is that, like, how far down the line of indecency does it go? There are plenty of books out there that are being sold in bookstores that cover, rather abhorrent material, but are being bought, sold, and consumed without consent. Yet here we go, we've got an author that's facing time for something that's weird. Now, if it was written from a non-consensual viewpoint, where they weren't consensual adults, yeah, I could quite clearly understand why there'd be outrage over it. Role-playing as a toddler. Now, I don't know how far things go down the path of what they do, but it's led to the child abuse material charges, and she's now been found guilty of those charges, 3 of them. The determination was that the book sexually objectified children. Okay, I mean, I can understand the viewpoint on that. It certainly seems to be very much a subjective line. And, well, yeah, I mean, the reader's left with a description that creates a visual image in one's mind of an adult male engaging in sexual activity with a young child. I mean, that's the age play. Yeah, is it appropriate to age play like that? Yeah, it sounds like clearly not. So she issued a pre-release of the novel before complaint about its content was made to police, arrested, found 16 hard copies of the offending novel, she'll be sentenced later. Alright, so that was really just the outcome of the court case. And I'm surprised that free speech advocates aren't more up in arms about this, or fighting more on her behalf. Australia's had a very strange relationship with what is considered excess or excessive pornography. There was a push back in the late 2000s, early 2010s, to have things like was small breasts in particular. They were trying to ban those from porn in Australia because the claim being made was that it implied that the performer was underage, or it was indicating an age younger than they were. And people rightly complained, saying that, hey, look, adult females have breasts in all shapes and sizes. Just because they're small doesn't mean that it's an indication of sexual immaturity. There were also certain fetish elements that were being considered, and I mean, nowadays some stuff would be considered fairly mainstream, but at the time was very much fetishized, and was discussion about it being banned at the national level. Now, each of the states have their own slightly different approach, and obviously the internet being the internet, people get access to a whole bunch of things, and so a lot of that content is available, well, pretty much anywhere. The idea that child abuse material, child sex abuse material in the written word or in the fictitious world is considered on the same level as the real stuff. Well, there's been cases in the past that this has been the case, and that characters could be considered real people. Well, that's a bit of a push, given that they were indicating or representing clearly fictitious characters, but it explains why this idea of a fictitious environment is treated the same as if it was real, which puts a bit more context into why this author is now being found guilty of child abuse material, because of the understanding that the fictitious environment is the same as the real one. Is that a fair position to take? Well, I know people have argued back and forth over it when these earlier cases took place, but clearly it's still going on. Is it the right thing or the wrong thing? Well, I mean, it talks about, zoophilia as being a banned content in Australia. The content of some of the most popular books on sale in bookstores now, and that have attracted attention of various commentators around the world over the last few months, would very much borderline on the description of zoophilia, but it's allowed to be sold and consumed without issue, same as certain levels of BDSM content. Had that have been enforced in the same way, then it's likely that books like 50 Shades of Grey would never have been permitted to go on sale, let alone go on sale openly in everyday bookshops. So it feels like to some people that there's this discrepancy in how the laws are applied, or an unevenness in how they're applied. And this sticks up as an example of it being heavy-handed in one regard and completely non-existent in others. Again, she's yet to be sentenced, but it's clear that the court in New South Wales, at least, has determined that the presenting of fictitious age play between fictitious consenting adults is on par with the production of real child abuse material. And as it showed on the Wikipedia article, it falls in line with the sort of decisions that have been made in the past by in various court cases.